Hello and welcome to... Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Driving Dialogue. Oh yeah. Yeah, you might be thinking, he sounds a little different this episode. Well, you'd be mistaken, because it was actually the last episode where I sounded different. This is my real voice. This is what I really sound like. I'm actually a very manly man with a very low and sexy voice. That's actually what I sound like. I'm not actually annoying and high-pitched and nasally. Oh no. No, I'm sexy and I got a low voice. Alright, fine. I can't do it. I was gonna try and do the entire episode with a lower voice, but alas, that's just not what my voice sounds like, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this is what I have to work with, and it's a wonder why I'm single. Hello, ladies! Who wants to date the guy that sounds like he likes men? Yeah, I don't think women really want that. Women want a low voice. They want to feel the low decibels, give them goosebumps or something like that. I don't know what women want. That's why I'm single. Well, here we are on episode 2 of Driving Dialogue, the dialogue where I'm driving. And, I woke up this morning and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What am I doing? What am I doing making a podcast? I have nothing to talk about today. I'm sure of it. I'll run blank. I'll start the podcast and I'll have nothing to say. And then I went to work today. Holy crap. Literally. I listened to my last podcast, and in my last podcast I said, I'm a janitor, but knock on wood, at least the kids haven't done any crazy bull crap yet. Well, strap in! In all my years of 3 or 4 years, this was by far the worst thing I've ever heard of happening at my school. But the good news is, I didn't have to clean it up. Nope. Luckily for me, it was my co-janitor that had to deal with it. But after the fact, he told me the story. And my God, am I happy I didn't have to clean it up. Oh my Lord. I mean, we get the notice on our walkie-talkies from the principal. He's like, we need to clean up in the boys' bathroom by the gym. Bring a hazmat suit. Now, I just thought he was being cheeky. I thought he was just being funny. But when my coworker comes back, I will not name drop them. I will protect their identity. When my coworker comes back, I'm like, so what was the damage? And he said, dude. And I was like, what? And it's like, I don't even know if I should say it, man. Because when he explained it to me, I literally felt scared. He told me that somebody had picked up a dookie and threw it against the wall. Oh, but wait, there's more. After that, they smeared dookie on the mirrors and all over the walls. And it's unclear about the course of events, but there also was blood everywhere. And I don't know if he was pooping violently, causing the blood to come from his anus. I don't know if it was a nosebleed that occurred while he was painting with his fecal matter. I don't know the order of events, but the fact remains. There was a combination of shit and blood everywhere in this bathroom. It literally took him 30 minutes to clean it up. And even when I checked on it later, even though it was still dripping in water and soap, you could still smell the damage that had been done. And when he told me that someone had smeared blood and crap everywhere, I literally got scared. I'm still scared telling the story. I literally think now that there is a student at my school who is a psychopath. Because that is psychopath behavior. You have to be insane, A, to touch your dookie, B, to create art or graffiti with it, and C, to also be bleeding and adding that to the palette, adding that to your art or whatever you were doing. I mean, it makes no sense. You know, I literally said last podcast that these kids respected me. Well, that's what I get for saying that last episode. No, these kids don't respect us. If they respect us, they wouldn't have Jackson Pollocked the bathroom with blood and poop. So hopefully that's the only shit talk today. That's the only toilet humor I hope is going to happen. Because I don't, like I said before, I don't like talking about this stuff. But that was just by far the worst thing. There is a future Jeffrey Dahmer at my school. I mean, I'm not even kidding, folks. Like, make a note of this recording of this podcast. This podcast might be the only evidence the police have of what could have led up to the school shooting. And I don't know. Maybe he'll just bring a slingshot to school and slingshot his poop at us. I don't know. There is crazy behavior occurring at my school. I've never seen anything like it. And I hope I never do again. What else happened today? Well, I thought this was going to be the story, but I think the other one beats it. But here's another one. So, my neighbors, we live in a duplex, and my neighbors had a roach infestation to the point where they either got kicked out because of their negligence of home care, or they're at a hotel right now while all the construction and, you know, trying to clean their house is taking place. They're literally ripping out all the carpet, painting everything. I mean, my first thought was being jealous. Our landlord hasn't treated us nearly as nicely as he's treating these people, and they arguably destroyed the house by allowing their garbage and filth to attract roaches. And yet, these are the people you're going to give complete home renovations to? Meanwhile, our kitchen light hasn't worked in like 2 or 3 months, and we have to make a sandwich using night vision, basically. Oh, but let's take care of the house that brought all the roach infestation to the neighborhood. But I get it, they're a problem, they need to be dealt with. But I think if they still get to live there, that's bullcrap, because they lived in filth, and that's what caused the roaches. So anyways, there's construction workers doing all this work. So when I tried to leave for work, there was a car right behind me. And I don't have the most, confidence when it comes to just going up to strangers, but heck, I needed to get to work, so that built the confidence in me. And I said, hey, hello, is this someone's car right behind me? And to my problem, these guys didn't speak a lick of English, and I spoke even less Spanish than they spoke English. So we're just looking at each other. No communication is really being done except for my hand movements and grunting noises. But eventually, somehow, through the art of pantomime, I was able to communicate with them to move the car. Now, one of them kind of scared the crap out of me. Like, I got some sketchy vibes from him because, I don't mean to judge a book by its cover, but he only had one eye. One of his eyes, like, it wasn't like he was wearing an eye patch. He just had an open lid, dead eye in its socket. Like, you could tell, like, it was gray or white and scary looking, like a witch had cursed him or something. Like he pissed off, like, a witch. But anyways, he scared me, and so I kind of got emotional because I couldn't communicate with him, and I also thought, this guy's probably ex-cartel or something, and he's scary looking. So I'm going to admit it, I kind of almost cried. I kind of almost cried because I was just stressed. I'm late for work. This guy's got one eyeball. He's potentially going to murder me because I don't know how to speak Spanish. And I think I freaked him out, even though he's the scary looking one, because I am much taller than him and have more muscle index. And it was just probably kind of weird for him, for this big, clumsy white guy to just start going, and just like, I closed my eyes and was like shaking my head because I was struggling so hard, because I do know some Spanish, but in the moment where I needed it most, no habla, no habla. That's all I could figure out to him. I said, no habla, and he's like, oh, really? Okay. But eventually I got them to move, and in compensation for the confusion, because I felt bad about the whole thing, I tried explaining that they could park where my parking spot was in my driveway. But I don't even know if they understood that. If anything, they just probably thought I was freaking out them some more. Okay, so that's the end of that little story. The next weird thing that happened to me, and this is all off the cuff, I haven't planned any of this ahead of time, so, I haven't, figured out the beats yet. But I'm a janitor, and one of my jobs is I have to take care of deliveries. Trucks show up and they drop off supplies, usually food or paper. This time was paper. Big old pallet of paper. We're talking maybe half a ton of paper. A lot of frickin' paper. It's all on a pallet. It's about as tall as me on this truck. And the truck driver is just like, you got a dolly? And I'm like, yeah, I got a dolly, but don't you have a pallet jack? Just jack the whole thing into the frickin' storage room. What are you talking about dollies for, you idiot? I didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. And he's like, well, the ramp, it won't work. And I'm like, ramp? What is he talking about? And I'm like, oh, the lift gate? Because that's what it's actually called on the back of a truck like that. It's got an electric lift gate, and you flip a switch and it goes up and down. So it kind of bothered me right off the bat that he's telling me that he's not gonna bring the thing for me into the room. He's talking to me about a dolly, which is implying I have to actually do some work. And, the fact that he didn't know what a lift gate was. How do you not know what a lift gate is? I don't even have your job, and I know enough about your job to know what the actual terminology is for your job, you moron. So sure enough, now I have to dolly 5 boxes at a time this entire big old pallet because he's too scared to put the pallet on the lift gate. And you know what? Looking back, I kind of get it. It was a lot of frickin' weight. My back still hurts from doing his job for him. Literally, I did his job for him. It's not in my job description to unload your truck. So it was just having to deal with a guy who's 10 years older than me, obviously not as smart as me, more incompetent than me, lazier than me, making other people do his job. And the fact is, he's probably getting paid more than me also. And he probably owns his own house, has a wife that he gets to have sex with, and he has kids. He's living this life that I wish I could live. But there I am doing his job for him. Just further proving that he has the better life. So that bothered me. So, that ends the end of that story too. God, I'm just burning through stories. Right now I'm in a bit of traffic, which is kind of annoying. Usually I don't have traffic at this part in the road, but someone decided to go 20 miles under the speed limit, so that's always great. I don't get that. How do people think that driving slow is safe? It's just as unsafe to go slow as it is to go fast. Go the frickin' speed limit. I don't think I'm asking for the moon here. Ugh. Anyways, I gotta keep talking. That's the name of the game. I was thinking about telling the story about the first time I ever had to go to therapy. It's also one of my favorite jokes that I ever did, which is why it really upset me that it got me sent to therapy, because I thought it was a really good joke. I thought I was being so clever. I thought, ooh, this is proof that someday I'll be a comedian or a funny actor or some crap. So there I was, I don't know, let's just say 12 years old. I usually say 12 years old for everything because I have no concept of how old I was at certain points in my life. So anyways, let's just say I was 12. I was 12 years old in the kitchen of my house. Nobody's home. And I'm just standing there, and then all of a sudden, inspiration just struck me. The muse, or whatever you want to call it. Some sort of divine intervention came into my mind and gave me this wonderful idea, and I still think it's a wonderful idea. So I went to work, and I immediately pull all the drawers open in the kitchen, and I'm looking for the biggest butcher knife I can find. Oh yeah, I find the big old butcher knife, and then I find myself a box of cereal. This particular one was a box of Frosted Flakes. And I take that knife and I repeatedly stab Tony the Tiger over and over again until there's bits of cereal and cardboard and plastic flying in the air, leaving a big mess everywhere, all over the counter. I do this, and then I leave the knife inside of the cereal box, and then I grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I write down, "Look, Mommy, I'm a serial killer." And I thought that my mom was going to come home and be like, "Ha ha ha, my son the comedian, isn't he so clever? He found a pun. He found a word that sounds like another word." Well, guess what? That's not exactly what my mom experienced. Instead, she came home to a devastation in her kitchen after a long day's work and saw a knife inside of a box and what she interpreted as a threatening note, as if that I was going to get my mom next. And I'm like, "Mom, you're not a box of cereal. You're fine." She didn't think it was funny. I go to school the next day, and I don't know why it took her a day to think about it, but next thing I know, in the middle of class, there's my mom. And you know, usually when you see your parents at school, it's kind of a good thing, like, oh, I get to go home early. But then I saw the look on my mom's face and the way that she grabbed my wrist and pulled me out of the class. I thought to myself, oh no, I'm going home early. This is bad. This is a bad time. Well, actually, we didn't go home. Instead, we took a little detour to Kaiser Permanente. And she took me into a office with a person with a clipboard. And there's my mom crying and crying, telling this person with a clipboard that she doesn't feel safe in her house with me, that she's worried that I'm gonna murder her or something. It's like, Mom, you're not Raisin Bran. Calm down. It's like, but like, honestly, come on. I just don't get, like, how none of these adults understood what I was going for. Like, how do you not even detect a slightest hint of a joke with what I've done? How do you not see even, like, 10% of how do you not give me some of the benefit of the doubt? Give me some of the benefit of the doubt that I'm a good person, that I'm not that crazy. But they thought I was crazy. Even the little therapist lady at Kaiser was like, do you understand? You scared your mom and then you're crazy? I actually don't really remember exactly everything that was said. But I know at that point there I was going to therapy. And I guess that's partly how I learned to just talk and talk and talk, because that's all therapy is, apparently. You know, I remember when I first got to a good therapist, I knew she was a good therapist because the first few sessions I purposely didn't talk at all. I just crossed my arms and pouted. I didn't want to be there. I didn't think I needed therapy. I didn't think that just because I told a silly joke that maybe was a little inappropriate, that didn't mean I needed to go to therapy. That didn't mean I was crazy. But whatever, it was fine. It was fun to have an adult to listen to me, because honestly, a lot of my childhood was just me struggling to get adults to listen to me. I loved it when adults paid attention, because it didn't mean too much when a child pays attention to you. A fellow child, what's their opinion worth? Whatever. They can't even buy me a soda or an ice cream. What use is it to entertain a child? No, you have to entertain an adult. They might give you money or a compliment that's worth a damn. So all I cared about when I was a kid wasn't being funny to just my fellow kids. I wanted to be funny to the adults. I wanted to be funny especially to like the cool adults that are like, from the ages like 18 to under 40. Those were the adults that I looked up to the most. What a weird rant. I don't even know where I'm going with that. I don't know. The point is, I've always wanted to be cool, I guess. I've always wanted to just have a posse. I've always wanted to just have a group of people to just hang on my every word, to tell me, wow, you're so interesting, or wow, what a good thought you just had. I like that reinforcement. I like that. That's why I love performing in front of a crowd, because if you say something and it's not funny or interesting, it'll just be dead quiet, and then you go, oh, this is the worst feeling in the world. Everyone hates me in this room. I need to learn to be better. I need to learn to be funny. I need to say things that people actually want to hear. And I gotta tell you, I don't know. I think that's an important lesson. I think everyone should learn that lesson. There's too many people that have podcasts or, vlog or write tweets on Twitter. And, just because you have a voice doesn't mean your voice is actually interesting, We're making a little detour just as a heads up. Also because this is hard, man. I'm really struggling with episode 2. I knew I was gonna, because I'm a bit more tired today. It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. Hump day. When I first heard of hump day, I thought it was a sexual thing. I thought, it's hump day in the office. I thought that meant that you were supposed to find the girl you like and, meet in the copy room or the janitor's closet or whoever. That's another thing about being a janitor is I don't have any female coworkers. My only female coworkers are teachers. And these women are all at least 10, 20 years older than me. But that didn't stop me. One time there was this teacher about a year or two ago, and she's kind of goth even though she's older, and she had art. She's the art teacher at the school, and she had Nightmare Before Christmas art and just stuff that I thought was cool, like Egyptian stuff. And I talked to her, and I made small talk with her, and we found out we had a lot in common, and we sort of kind of became friends. And she, every time I cleaned her classroom, she would tell me thank you. Not all teachers tell me thank you. And, and I would say you're welcome. And we would talk. And anyways, I just slowly, I kind of formed a crush on her. I became interested in her. And I told my roommate and friend, and I was like, man, I think at the end of the school year, I think I'm going to ask her out. And he's like, are you sure about that? And I should have taken that as a hint. But there I was, like a month or two later. I didn't even wait till the end of the school year. I couldn't wait. And I asked her out. And I think it was a bad idea, but like it was so weird because like she tried hard. She's so sweet. She tried hard to like let me down easy, and she's just like, oh, I can't, you know. I would, but I'm living with this guy I'm dating, you know, and if I wasn't living with him, I totally would go out with you. But, you know, honestly, I don't even know if she was being honest. I think she was just saying that to make me, you know, feel better, to like let me down easy. You know, it's better than just a no, to at least say, you know, if I wasn't taken, I would. That's a nicer version of no. But I guess the sad part of the story is ever since I asked her out, we don't really talk anymore. It's like there's this awkwardness between us. You know, of course there's awkwardness between us. Oh man, I'm at Starbucks right now, and I can't use my phone to pay like I always do, so I'm not getting the frickin' points with this order because I gotta record with my phone. So excuse me while I make an order real quick. Sorry about this.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Hi, can I get a venti vanilla sweet cream cold brew?
Okay.
That's it.
Alright, see ya here.
Thank you. So now the world knows that I'm obsessed with Starbucks like a basic bitch. And you all know my drink, so you'll probably judge me for that too, won't you? Well, I'll have you know that it's the manliest drink you can get at Starbucks. It's only got half the sugar of a Frappuccino. Okay, I'll be honest. I wish I was drinking a Frappuccino with whipped cream. Delicious. But just too much sugar. Okay, looks like the guy in front of me is about to leave. So I'm about to interact with this person here. Oh, maybe not. He's got a Pontiac Firebird. Looks like a 90s car and rust damage on the side. He's also got an antenna. Who the heck listens to radio these days? Oh my gosh, I feel bad for anyone that listens to radio. I can't stand the commercials, you know? You're trying to listen to your music and all of a sudden commercial for a bank or some crap you don't even give a crap about. Oh, I gotta pay. Okay, maybe I don't. Okay, wait. Here comes the guy giving a play-by-play. Oh, is my drink already ready? That's awesome, dude. Or is that my drink? No, that can't be mine. Hey, he's making someone else's drink. I didn't get a strawberry acai, however you pronounce that. Man, I got an audience waiting. We gotta hurry this transaction up. All right, there we go. I think he's coming now. Man, that girl's cute. Blue hair and tattoos. Why can't I get a girl like that? I just want, like, she can be a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Alright, $5.75 for you today. And then, did you want a straw though?
No straw.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye. Oh my God. Lord, did I need this drink. Coffee. The nectar of the gods. I needed it, man. It'll put more pep in my step. Hopefully more words in my brain for this stream. For this podcast. I don't know why, but this Walgreens reminded me of a story. I was kind of a bad kid growing up, and, you know, I'm not gonna, I was a good kid, but when I visited my dad and went to see my stepbrother, you know, he kind of was a troublemaker. I mean, I hope if he listens to this, I don't offend him saying that, but, you know, he kind of, we would sneak out. We would sneak out at night, come back at 5 in the morning or whatever. We'd go out and cause trouble. We'd go to construction sites and just, destroy people's hard work. That's rude. One time we went to the grocery store, each bought ourselves a gallon of ice cream, and I couldn't finish it on the way home, and for some reason I decided to smear all of the ice cream on the front door of a house that was for sale. Why did I do this? I don't know, just because I'm an asshole, I guess. But it was funny because the next day, me and my brother, this is 12 plus hours later, we happened to be walking on the same street where that house is, right when a real estate agent is showing the house to a promising young couple. And as soon as the real estate agent gets to the door, he discovers it, and he's just like, oh man, some jerk smeared ice cream or something all over, some kind of sticky substance all over the door. And me and my brother were we had to flex every muscle in our body to not laugh. And as soon as we were like a block away, we just bursted out laughing. Because what were the odds that we were gonna run into the real estate agent, the next day we were going to see the repercussions of me painting the door in ice cream. It was cookie dough too. I really, I love cookie dough, so I kind of regret what I did. But, I just wanted to be cool to my brother, so I would cause trouble with him. Another time I can remember is we went to the Del Taco. And it was one of the few things open that late at night when it was me, my brother, and a friend or two of his. And it was, we snuck out and we walked to Del Taco. And it was because it was open. Nothing else was open. But only the drive-thru was open. And we were all too young and stupid and didn't have a car. We were all too young to drive. So we had this brilliant idea. Well, what is a car really, but just a device with 4 wheels? So we found ourselves a shopping cart, and one or two of us was in the shopping cart. I think I was pushing the shopping cart, because even as a kid, I was always the bigger, stronger one. And we're now waiting in line at Del Taco, and we think we're doing a good job, because we're technically in a vehicle, it's a metal box with 4 wheels. This counts, right? Serve us, Del Taco man. Shut up and give us a taco. Well, before we could even mess with the Del Taco guy, we never had the opportunity, because there was another car in front of us at this Del Taco, and I don't know, I think he was drunk or mentally ill, or just hated kids who were having fun because he had no business to care. We weren't bothering him. Maybe we were being loud and obnoxious and smiling too much. I mean, I understand it. As I get older, I myself also get upset when I see the happiness of the youth. How dare you? You don't have to work, you don't have to drive to work. You don't have to deal with taxes and the minutia of life. You don't have to deal with traffic. And you jerks are behind me while after I just got off my shift, and I'm just trying to enjoy some delicious Del Taco, and you jerks have the audacity to be behind me in a shopping cart. You think you're so cute? You think you're so clever? Well, guess what? At this point, the guy in front of us at Del Taco pulls what I can only tell you the biggest wrench I'd ever seen in my life. It had to have been like a foot long at least. And he opens the car door after we see him pulling out this wrench from the back seat. And I gotta tell you, I didn't wait any longer. At that point, my fight or flight instincts came in, and I began to run. And I can only tell you that the two people in that shopping cart were the first to get picked off. I don't know what happened to them. I never looked back, but I know I heard screaming. I know that I heard a ruckus. They were trying to jump out of the cart, whatever the case may be. I was running. I didn't look back, and I ran to the nearest place, which is a Home Depot. And there were these sheds in front of the Home Depot, and I hid inside of one of those sheds. I hid inside one of those sheds with my brother for probably 30 plus minutes, just waiting for this crazy drunk guy with a giant wrench to, hopefully wear himself out and go back to his Del Taco. Whew, that's the end of that story. You think it goes somewhere, but it doesn't. It was just an experience. Oh, we never got our Del Taco, Delicious coffee break. I can't drink too much because that's my beverage with my dinner, which I'll be picking up later too. I really shouldn't be eating out so much, but we're kind of celebrating right now at my house. We invented this holiday called Game Fest, and the whole point of the holiday is just to play video games. And the thing about that is, what am I doing differently? I already was just playing video games. Yeah, but now we put a name to it. Now it's got a title when I play video games for this 2-week period. It's called Game Fest. And what's kind of cool is we each get our own day. And for example, we had my day the other day. It was on Sunday, and I had them do a scavenger hunt, and I had them put together a puzzle I made, and the puzzle probably had too many pieces because it was kind of took them a while to finish it. And partly is because who the heck does a puzzle? It's 2025. It's surprising that puzzles even exist in this day and age. But I know I had a custom-made puzzle for them to do, and then I gave them treats based on things that they like, and we played a video game that I hadn't played since I was let's just say 12 years old again. Like I said, that's just the age where everything happened apparently in my life. I don't know, let's go with 11 just to be original. I was 11 years old. So the point is, I hadn't played this particular video game in oh man, I'm gonna do some math here, 20 years? I mean, the game came out in 2004. And it's just interesting, when you're a kid and you play something, you have a certain kind of experience. And then when you revisit it as an adult, it's similar but different. And it almost makes you wonder, are we better off just not revisiting the past and letting the past be kind of what it is, but also what we've created it to be? Or is it good to revisit the past and know what the past really is and not live in a fantasy world and live in reality? I don't know. It's a hard question because both ways can be right and wrong. It's not exactly great to live a life where there's no magic and you don't, you always have to be critical of things. For example, I'm kind of critical about graphics in video games, and I felt embarrassed playing this old game because the graphics weren't good. But luckily, my best friend always tells me that he doesn't care about graphics. There's actually a lot that he tells me that's good. Like how I shouldn't always feel like I have to be entertaining. How I shouldn't always feel like I have to be funny. That I can just be. And I can be myself. But the problem with me is I've spent my whole life trying to be entertaining, trying to be funny. I spent so much time doing that. Excuse me. I've spent so much time doing that I don't know if I really know who I am. Because I don't know. What if who I am is that? What if who I am is a guy who just wants to be funny and not take everything seriously and, just say whatever gets the laugh? That's the person I've tried to be my whole life. I don't know if that's enough of a personality, though. So here I am at 33 trying to create a personality. And that could be part of the reason I'm single, too. I mean, it's kind of lame. Oh my God, this guy. Jesus Christ, dude. What a fucking moron. I mean, I try not to curse, but this guy literally, at a red light, just tried slamming into my lane. If I was any other human being, that would have been a car accident. Holy crap. And it would have been the slowest, stupidest car accident of all time. Just a slow merge of this guy who obviously wasn't looking. Like, I get it. You needed to take a left and you're in this going straight lane. Well, guess what? It's too late, dude. You should have just gone straight. You should have bit the bullet. You should have gone, oh, I'm a moron. I guess I should learn to be smarter in the future. Instead, they just risked my life and just merged while I was right there. I mean, God, that makes me so mad. Yeah, and that's part of the reason I wanted to film in my car too, is like, I get really bad road rage, and if I film, maybe it'll teach me to calm down and not create vehicular manslaughter. Because there's a recorded witness in the room with me, I have to be on my best behavior. I can't yell. I already dropped an F-bomb. So I'm sorry to all the Christians who are listening. I really try to create entertainment that's not family friendly, but like PG-13. And, in PG-13 movies, they're allowed one F-bomb. So as far as I'm concerned, this is still a PG-13 podcast. And, I just think it's silly to get offended by language. It's just a word. It's just your vocal cords creating a vibration of sound that then penetrates your eardrum, that creates a code in your brain of reference for you to go, oh, that sounds like this, and I've agreed with society that this has this meaning. Language in itself is just so crazy. And I guess language is a good way to make it the theme of this episode, because I did tell that story how I was talking to that Spanish-speaking guy, the construction worker, and because I couldn't communicate with him, I was getting emotional, because one of my favorite and most important things besides the comedy and all that is just being understood. It's just so important to me to be understood. And I think it's in part because when I was growing up, I mumbled. Some people couldn't understand me because I was mumbling. And also I wasn't very articulate, so I didn't use, good word choice. And I don't know, I just wasn't a good communicator when I was younger. So it's just very important to me that people understand what I'm saying and that I'm being understood and that it's clear what I'm saying. And so like in conversations with my friend, for example, this happened recently, we had a disagreement about a movie. He thought it was an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a 7 out of 10. That's not that much difference, but it's still a disagreement, And I was trying to, explain to him one of the reasons I didn't like the movie as much as him. And I said a word, and it was the wrong word. I don't even remember the word, but it was the wrong word. And he's like, what? And I'm embarrassed now. Oh man, I just did something dumb. But then I did something that I love to do. I spoke in metaphor, And then he understood what I was saying. And you know, that's just, it made me, it's so important to be understood. So I love that I've been able to figure out a way to use metaphors or similes or, you know, smart people, poetic language shit to be understood better. Well, I don't know how long I've been going. It kind of went faster than last time, but I don't know. Hopefully it's about as long as last episode, but I think I gotta end it because I'm about to get food. I'm in line at the drive-thru now. So I gotta wrap it up. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and have a good day.